not too happy about the Senate's new immigration bill. Joining us now, Governor Sarah Palin, who's all fired up today about this week's happenings here in the nation's capital, and she's joining us live. Welcome, Governor. Great to see you.
Thank you. I appreciate being on.
You put that tweet out today about the concerns that you have over the immigration bill that was passed by the Senate. I know you're really upset about it, and you believe that Republicans just caved in. Why do you think that happened this week?
I think that Republicans who caved, along with the Democrats who caved into Obama's wishes to legalize illegal aliens, is a matter of a lack of principle and a respect for the rule of law. This was an absolute betrayal of working-class Americans who do respect the rule of law, and legal immigrants who have come here and stood in line and paid their dues, if you will, and become new Americans. This bill, 24 pounds, 1,000 pages of a rush job of a bill that literally was rushed through. It was Pelosi. It was something that the lawmakers decided they had to pass in order to find out what was in it. It doesn't solve any of the problems that we may have with immigration, and an absolute betrayal of the will of the people and of the rule of law.
You know, when people complained about Obamacare and the 1,000 pages that were in that bill, lawmakers vowed never to let anything pass again without reading it. And yet again, when this immigration bill came up for a vote, so many lawmakers had not even read it and were just voting on the issue from what they'd heard.
Yeah, that's some of the hypocrisy of our permanent political class in Washington, D.C., which is an indication of such a problem, of that abandonment of what we the people expect from our representatives and those whom we elect to fulfill the will of the people. Yes, with Obamacare, there were all those complaints about, we don't know what's in it. You can't just rush this thing through, and later on we'll find out what's in it, and we're going to find a lot of problems, which they have in Obamacare. Same thing will happen with the immigration, the amnesty bill. It's quite unfortunate.
Really quickly, before we get some viewer questions, I want to ask you, what were your thoughts this week about the way President Obama responded to the concerns over Snowden, the NSA leaker, saying that he is in no rush to pick up what he described as simply a hacker?
Well, the whole issue with Snowden and with the government's violation of our Fourth Amendment rights to privacy and against searches and seizures of our property, including communications, the problem there is that government has lied to us, and they do spy on our communications, and it took Snowden to disclose that. Though if he's violated the law, then he needs to get back here and answer to the rule of law, because we are still a nation that respects the rule of law, right? Even though amnesty bill just sort of thwarted all that. But with Obama deciding to just, lead from behind on this issue too, that's the community organizer in our president. That's a little bit of that lackadaisical, don't have to take responsibility, and his resume proves that he hasn't had to take responsibility for much in all these years. This is just another issue, another example that falls in line with a community organizer.
Let's get to some of the viewer questions. I know that we received a lot of questions from folks who are anxious to hear from you. We have one from Josh Pazer, who's asking, would you and radio talk show host Mark Levin be willing to build a Freedom Party if the GOP continues to ignore conservatives?
Well, I love the name of that party, the Freedom Party, and if the GOP continues to back away from the planks in our platform, from the principles that built this party of Lincoln and of Reagan, then more and more of us are going to start saying, what's wrong with being an independent, kind of with that libertarian streak that much of us have, and in other words, we want government to back off and not infringe upon our rights. I think there will be a lot of us who start saying, GOP, if you abandon us, well, we have nowhere else to go except to become more independent and not enlisted in one or the other of the private majority parties that rule in our nation, either a Democrat or a Republican. Remember, these are private parties, and no one forces us to be enlisted in either party.
Sarah Palin, it's always great to have you on board. Thank you so much for joining us.